guys.
What's up? Welcome back to the Boredom Busters.
It's Kara.
It's Leah.
And it's Sarah.
Today, we're going to be teaching you guys some recipes to cook.
And bake. We're going to be teaching you how to make chocolate chip cookies, oat balls, and caramel slices.
We hope you enjoy. But first,
at the end of our last video, we promised that the loser would have to get some water poured on their head.
The loser was the person chosen by Alexa, and unfortunately, it's Sarah.
I'm the loser.
So, we're going to go ahead and pour some water on her head for her punishment.
It's ice cold.
Make sure you stand in the center of the camera so they can see you.
1, 2, 3. Ah! Oh my gosh, it's so cold!
Get back here!
Oh my god, it's so cold.
Now that Sarah's punishment is over, we're going to let her go change.
And it's time for us to transition into the kitchens.
So, let's go to my kitchen to see what you're baking.
To you, Leah.
Hi, my name is Leah, and we're going to be making a caramel slice today. There's 3 steps to making it. First, a shortbread, then the caramel, and a chocolate on top. So the ingredients you might need are here. So first, you need powdered sugar, flour, butter, coconut, and that's all for the shortbread. For the caramel, you need sweetened condensed milk, butter, and syrup, and even some sea salt. Now, for the final part, you need the chocolate. You're going to need some chocolate. You can have milk chocolate or dark chocolate, your preference, and then some vegetable oil. So let's get started. Before we do anything, we need to preheat our oven to 350. Cool, so let's get baking. We're gonna start with the coconut shortbread. So I'm gonna put first the 1 cup of flour into this bowl. Then you add your powdered sugar, which is ½ cup. Finally, for the dry ingredients, add your 3/4 cup of coconut. Now you're gonna mix it all together really quick just to make sure that it's all uniform before we put our butter in. Now I'm gonna put in the butter. You need 1 stick of melted butter. You're gonna stir until it's all moist. So this is what it should look like when it is completed. The consistency should be something like wet sand. If you've ever been to the beach, you know what I'm talking about. Just to clarify, it is unsalted butter. So now we're going to put it into the pan. So while putting it into the pan, you can either grease it with butter or put in some parchment paper so that it hangs over the side. I chose to do parchment paper, so let's put it into the pan. The pan is an 8-inch pan. If you don't have one, then it is okay. Use something a little bit bigger or smaller. You're just gonna have a different layer of shortbread on the bottom. Now you're going to firmly press down the mixture, or wet sand we should call it, into the pan. And when you're done, it'll look something like this. And try and get it as even as you can. Next, what we're going to do is put it in the oven for about 12 minutes or until the surface is brown or lightly brown. Don't forget to set your timer so you don't forget. Now we're going to go on to making the caramel. So while our shortbread is baking, we're going to be making the caramel. You'll need a cup of sweetened condensed milk, a small saucepan or pot. You'll need half a stick of butter and 1 tablespoon of maple syrup. So now that it's all in the pot, we're gonna heat it on medium heat and we're going to continuously mix it. This is going to take about 10 minutes, maybe longer. You don't wanna burn it. And make sure you're very careful and see what it looks like at the end. You're gonna want your caramel to be a golden brown color and just continue stirring at your own pace. It's gonna take a while, up to 10 minutes, and do it at your own pace. So you're gonna notice it's gonna get a little bit thicker as you go and it's gonna start bubbling. That's normal. You're going to want it to be a golden brown color and it's going to be slightly thicker. So it's been 12 minutes. Now it's time to take out our shortbread from the oven. Be careful, the oven is hot. Make sure you have somewhere to rest it. That way you don't put it directly on the counter or your table. Now we're gonna finish our caramel and continue baking. Okay. So it'll look something like this when it's about golden brown, even after 10 minutes. It's not the end of the world if it's not completely golden brown. So now we're gonna go ahead and turn off the heat. Here's when you'll need your sea salt. We're gonna put in a pinch of sea salt because sea salt and caramel is just great. So, pinch of sea salt, and then stir that together. Now, we're gonna put our caramel on top of our shortbread. Try and get it so it's even all over the shortbread. It'll look something like this when it's done. Now, we're gonna put it back in the oven for another 12 minutes or until it's golden brown on the edges. Again, don't forget to set your timers. Now we're going to take it out of the oven. And this is what it's going to look like. Super looking gooey, looks delicious. This is my personal preference. You don't have to. But I'm going to put sprinkle some more sea salt on the top of it. Now we're gonna let it rest for about 30 minutes until we do the chocolate, which is the final part of the caramel slice. Now we're gonna do the chocolate. So you're gonna need 1.5 cups of chocolate in a bowl that's microwave safe. We're gonna heat up the chocolate and then we're gonna put in 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil. So let's start. I'm gonna start with 30 seconds. It's going to need a lot longer, obviously. So keep putting it into the microwave at 30-second intervals until it is fully melted. Don't forget to mix it in between. As you can see, this is after 3 times. As you can see, the chocolate is melting and it's starting to become very, very chocolatey. After 3 30-second intervals, my chocolate has become kind of like this. This is what it should look like at the end. Now we're going to put in 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil. Now we're going to mix it all in. When it's all mixed together, it should look like this. Now we're going to put it on top of our caramel. Now I'm going to spread it out so it's an even or about even layer all over the caramel. This is what it'll look like after all the chocolate is spread out. Now we're going to stick it in the refrigerator for about 2 hours to let it all set and cool. Then enjoy. Now let's go to Sarah's house to see what she's gonna bake.
Welcome to my kitchen. Today we are making energy oatmeal balls. They taste a little bit like oatmeal cookies, but they're actually very healthy. So let's get started. For the ingredients, you will need honey, pure vanilla extract, old-fashioned oats, peanut butter, coconut flakes, and optionally, chia seeds or cocoa powder. For utensils, you will need a bowl, a spatula, and some things to measure. If you want, you can add some chia seeds. This also does not have to be exact. Now we will measure out a full cup of old-fashioned oats and pour it into our bowl. Next, we will measure out about 2/3 of a cup of coconut flakes. This does not have to be exact. Add that to your bowl. If you want, you can measure out about a teaspoon of chia seeds. This step is only optional. Next, we will add about a 1/3 cup of honey. Honey is very sticky, so if you would like, you can also substitute this for maple syrup. Next, we will add half a cup of any kind of nut butter. Peanut butter and almond butter work very well, but there are a lot of other nut butters that you can use. Just pour that into your bowl. Okay, wait. Cut this part out. Next, you can add about a teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. I like to add a little bit more. If you want, you can even add a touch of unsweetened cocoa powder. This is very optional, and I usually do about a teaspoon. You can also add chocolate chips if you want. Cut this part out. Just, okay. I am adding about a third cup. It's stuck to the honey. Okay. After washing your hands, it's time for the last step. Take about a teaspoon of your dough and roll it up into a ball. Should look just like this. Next, you will store it in any kind of container or plate. Keep repeating this step until you have no batter left. The only thing left to do is to put them in the fridge. Once they are out of the fridge, you can now enjoy them.
Hey guys, it's Kara. Right now we're gonna make some awesome chocolate chip cookies. You will be needing a half cup of salted butter, a half cup of sugar, a half cup of brown sugar, 1 egg, 1 teaspoon vanilla, a half teaspoon salt, a half teaspoon of baking soda, 1 1/3 cup of flour, and 1 cup of chocolate chips or chocolate chunks if you would like. So first we're gonna brown 1/2 cup of butter. You're gonna need an adult for this part. So take a pan and take your butter and you're gonna put the butter into the pan. If you're using your hands, make sure they're nice and washed. Turn the stove on medium-low and let it melt. Make sure you have an adult for this part, but the medium-low is in between medium and low. When the butter gets to a point where it's bubbling and all the butter is melted so that there's no more solid, now it's time to turn the heat off. Once it stops bubbling, you can pour it into a bowl. Make sure that you get every last drop, and be careful because this is hot. Now you're gonna let this butter cool for 5 minutes. You can stir if you would want. Add 1/2 cup of sugar, 1/2 cup of brown sugar. Now we're gonna crack 1 egg and put it into the bowl. I'd recommend cracking it into a separate bowl so that you can pick out any shells that you get. Now add that in. Add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, a half teaspoon of salt, and 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. Now you can mix. Once it's all evenly mixed and there's no more chunks left, add 1 1/3 cup of flour. And lastly, add 1 cup of chocolate chips or chocolate chunks. I'm gonna use chocolate chunks. Make sure not to mix this too much. If you find that it's a little too dry and crumbly like mine, feel free to add 1 tablespoon of milk. Once all the flour and chocolate chips are mixed in evenly and it looks something like this, we're ready to move on. Again, you need adult supervision here. Preheat the oven to 350 degrees. While that's preheating, line a baking sheet with parchment paper. You're gonna need to wash your hands again for this part. Now take it off the spoon and roll it into some sort of shape, like a ball, but it should be a little bit flat, like this. Now just put it on the parchment paper. Keep doing this until the parchment paper is all filled up. If the cookies are spread out on your baking sheet like this and the oven is already preheated to 350 degrees, it's time to put them in. Make sure you have an adult for this part. Put them in for 10 to 15 minutes. Start at a low time, like 10 minutes, and if it still needs more, add about 5 minutes or so. Be safe and use an oven mitt if you need it. After 10 minutes, my cookies are not quite ready, so I'm gonna put them back in for 3 minutes or so. If yours are ready now, you can take them out. Make sure to use an oven mitt. Make sure that your area is clean when you're done. You can even do this while the cookies are baking. My cookies are done, so it's time to take them out with an oven mitt. Let them cool and dig in.
We hope you enjoyed that video.
With the great dishes that came with it. We hope you enjoyed the chocolate chip cookies
The caramel slices.
and the oat balls. Now we're gonna try them all. First, let's try some caramels.
Caramel. Alright. One for you,
Thank you.
one for you,
Thank you.
and one for me.
Let's dig in. Cheers.
Okay, don't forget to take off your masks.
Those were some great caramel slices. Now let's try some oat balls. One for you, one for me, and one for me.
Let's try them.
Cheers! Mmm. Those were some great oat balls. Now let's try some chocolate chip cookies. One for me, one for you, which is a weird triangle, and one, you get the square. Thank you. Let's dig in.
Let's
Cheers.
dig in. Cheers. Crunchy. So, we hope you enjoyed them. We certainly did. That's all for today's video.
So we'll see you next time on the Boredom Busters. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. We're soaring, flying. There's not a star in heaven that we can reach. Stop.